Live.
And then what do I share?
So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another live stream on the Bow Wow Bill channel. You should be able to see it either on my Bow Wow Bill Facebook page, the facebook.com/Bow Wow Bills. Um, or you can go to YouTube, and whoever's on YouTube, in fact, everybody head over to YouTube and subscribe to my channel, please. Because I only have around 600 subscribers. I want to get to 1,000 so I can start to monetize. And I found out a fun fact that only 70% out of everybody that watches it, 70% of people are not subscribed. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube page, I'm talking to you right now. Please, I would really appreciate it if you head over there, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button. I guess that's what the kids say nowadays. But and then on Facebook is when we stream, and that's where we get most viewers, most interactions on Facebook. And I'm also streaming at Bow Wow Bills on Twitter as well. And so we'll wait for people to join us. And I'm going to share this too. That's what I like to do is share it on my personal page as well. And while I do that, if do you want to tell people a little bit about who you are, where you're from, all that good stuff, Jaclyn?
Yeah, sure. I just shared it on my Facebook page too, so it should
Okay,
be
cool.
posted there. My name's Jaclyn. I am a dog trainer from California. I'm from Orange County. I train in LA too, so the general Southern California area is where I'm from. I've been a dog trainer since 2016, and yeah, I always ever since then I consider myself always learning, always growing. I am having a great time lately, learning a lot of new things in the industry, meeting cool people like yourself. So yeah,
What got you originally working with dogs?
what got me working with dogs? So back in the day, I got diagnosed with an illness, and due to the illness, I was disabled and had lost my job, had dropped out of school, and I decided one of the best things that could help me at the time would be a service dog. However, if you know service dogs, they're very expensive and their wait lists are very, very long. Talking $20,000, $30,000 with a 1.5 year wait list. And I was like, well, don't have a job anymore, so that's not going to happen. And nor can I continue to not progress my life for another 1.5 years to wait for the service dog to arrive. And so I started training my own service dog, and that kind of took me on the path down. Wow, this is really cool. You can do really cool things with dogs. I got a job as a dog trainer, and eventually in that business, I moved up to become a manager. And yeah, I became the trainer of that location. And then from there, got into working dogs. I opened my own dog training business. And then in current day, I partner with another dog trainer, which is also another Napopo gold multiplicator. We do cool stuff together. But yeah, somewhere along that route, I adopted a malinois that was an owner surrender. Sweet, sweet dog, but quite a few Malinois type problems. So not an easy one, not an easy girl, but she was fun. She was a project dog. I adopted her at a time period of my life in between jobs where I wasn't a dog trainer anymore. And I was like, I just want a cool hiking buddy to spend time with. And my friend had this dog. They said it was an owner surrender from their client. And I adopted her. And then I found out she was a working line Malinois. And I was like, whoa, what does that mean? What can this thing do? And so I took her to some bite sports clubs, and then that kind of took me down the path of bite sports with that Malinois, and then that path of bite sports led me to Napopo. The Napopo led me to the world of working dogs, detection dogs, man trailing dogs. And so ever since finishing silver school in 2021, I'm just like, what else can we do with these dogs? So I've got quite a lot of interest in a diverse amount of disciplines. So I have a Malinois that played PSA for a little while. That was my first one. And then my second one, I am working on his man trailing for hopefully one day we'll be able to get certified for search and rescue. That's a long term goal of mine. And then my more recent one, I've got a little puppy and we're going to play Mondioring together. So quite an amount of activities with
Well,
my
quite
dog.
a thread. You just grabbed a hold of this thread and you started pulling it, and then pretty soon
Yeah. So
here you are.
every community that I join, I learn that someone else also does something. So, like, my service dog, as soon as I didn't need him anymore, I don't enjoy having a service dog. That's a very interesting. People find that very interesting when I say that. It's
Okay.
not fun to have a service dog. It's somewhat of a, I don't want to say burden. It's not a burden because the disability is the burden, but it's not fun to have a service dog. So as soon as I was able to not need the service dog anymore, I retired him, and then I put him in therapy dog, got him certified as a therapy dog. He's
Okay.
a nice little social boy. And I was like, you can go make other people happy. But yeah, so then I had my therapy dog team, and I love my therapy dog team. Nice, sweet, caring, loving people. And then, yeah, meeting people there and seeing what do they do with their dogs on the side, what kind of fun sports do they do on the side. They do their dock diving, they do their fast cat, they do their funsy weekend activities with their dogs. And then getting my malinois led me to the PSA world, met people who play French ring, met people who play Mondioring, IGP. And so then I go to those trials just to see, oh, what do you do with your dogs over here? So
Well, I tell
yeah.
people that there's so many facets to the dog world, and not only that, but there's the dog reaches into every corner of the human existence. And I wanted to bring up something. We already have some comments here. If you guys have any questions or comments, I'll come to them periodically. Look who's here.
Kashi!
Kashi, love you, buddy.
Kashi's the
Kashi,
best.
he really is, and I can't wait to meet you someday, Kashi. So let's make that happen, man. Come to a
Oh man,
state. Yeah, let's do it.
Kashi Kashi was trying to convince me to come to Europe for New Silver School so we could hang out.
Is
And
he
I was
gonna
like,
go to New Silver, huh?
"Oh,
Kashi's
that's
gonna go?
tempting."
Kashi, let
I
us know in the
believe.
comments if you're going, okay? And then we have Dylan over here at DM Hutchins. Much love and respect to you too, brother. He's over at YouTube as well. So everybody head over to YouTube. And if you're watching this right now, hit that share button, you guys. Let's get a large audience going here. Jennifer Dawson says, hi, Jaclyn.
Hi, Jennifer.
And then we
Jennifer's cool.
have Jorge.
Jorge!
Yeah, he was there. He's a gold medal, I believe.
Hey!
He went to yours program as well.
Yeah.
Buenos dias, mi amigo.
Jorge and I are in progress of uh, researching how to translate a webinar into Spanish. He's from Mexico, and
Okay.
so we're kind of exploring that route, see what we can do together.
Oh, I can do it for you. You guys let me
Cool
know.
dude.
We'll talk after this because I have, we were talking about this. I use AI to do all my translations, and it's the future, man, and it's just going to get weirder, folks. Like I use AI almost every single day. AI stands
Oh
for
my
artificial intelligence. For those that don't know, some people are freaked out about it, but I'm all over it. And so one thing I wanted to mention too, and I'll go to the comments here really quick, and then we'll come back to the conversation. Kashi's hoping to get his visa for the Netherlands here. And Jorge says we can work together. Absolutely. It's a beautiful thing about the Napopo family is that we should be working together. We have gone through, we jumped through a bunch of rings that prove our passion for these dogs. And
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of standards, and I'm a big fan of holding myself accountable and learning as much as I can. And speaking of standards, I want to go back to when you were service dog. And I love what you said about it's not fun. People have a misconception of what a service dog is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essentially a medical device, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a wheelchair or anything else. It's just to help aid you in a disability. And I've been shared this article so much. And so I have to share this with everybody here because it's actually local to me. In Washington, I'm just up north of Seattle, Washington. She paid $18,500 for a service dog, but it became the dog's emotional support human instead. So
Oh my God.
he's a Newfie Poo,
Oh my God.
and the dog was very reactive. It was from an Oregon nonprofit, but
Oh
a
my.
Newfie Poo. See right here, and literally they're doing some stuff where they're trying to get this dog, and you could already tell. Look at that. That dog is.
They have video.
Yep, they have some video here of,
Oh my
well, I
goodness.
guess it's an ad. I don't want to play this ad here, but and you can tell that this dog And they is not service dog material, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we don't want a dog that's shy. We don't want a dog that is scared of the world around them. And it looks like she sued this company, and and she lost because
What?
there's really no standards to
Oh my God.
expect, and there's no regulation authority. And so, be careful what you're doing, folks, with the service dog world. And a lot of people don't realize that there's no regulation, there's no regulatory body, there is no real standards. And people have been taken to the cleaners. That's $20,000, and I think she waited a year and
Mm-hmm.
a half. And this was for her autistic boy. And shame on those people, man, because I get it. Because a lot of times we put these dogs through the program, but as soon as the dog starts to exhibit a certain type of behavior, they need to be dropped. They need they need to go somewhere else. And
Yeah.
and that's just the way it is, folks. Like, these dogs are being counted on in life and death situations. A lot of times are just like to aid somebody in a disability. And just like the article says, like, this person became that dog's essential emotional support human. Right. And so this dog, they fell in love with the dog. They ended up keeping him, but it was something that it was far from what they were expecting. They were expecting a dog that was going to help her son, 11-year-old autistic child.
Yeah. Service
Right.
dog training as a profession, now being on the other side as a dog trainer, it's so complex. There's so many things you have to consider when you train a service dog. You have to consider your client, what's their disability, what's their expectation, what is their handling capability based off their disability. Because I could place a service dog and it could be a kind of rambunctious dog, and it's perfect for an active 20-something-year-old person with a non-physical disability. And then that same dog would be a terrible candidate for an older person who's in a wheelchair, right?
Right. And we have to go and kind of, anytime that I've placed a service dog, I go and hang out with the people with the dog, and not only teach them the commands and how to handle this dog, but I'm also
Right.
looking at the interaction with the animal and the people. And if that's
Right.
not a good fit, we need to drop them. I mean, not
Yeah.
drop them from the program, but we need to sever that relationship and
Yeah.
find a dog that they're a much better fit for.
And it's very
And
touchy because those people, like in that article, they got attached. And like,
yeah.
if you're going to wait a year and a half for this product that you're hoping is going to turn your life around, and then your trainer goes, whoopsies, nope, never mind, sorry. It looks real bad on you, but that's what's best for the client, right?
Well, and full transparency is key, right? And letting them know, hey, look, this is not a guaranteed thing. We need to see how everything goes day by day. And I know you're excited. And just because we pull apart this relationship doesn't mean that we aren't going to be successful with another one. But we
Right.
need to be honest. And sometimes the truth can be brutal, right?
Mhm.
And
Where people's expectations are not achievable because they're not familiar with what a dog's capable of.
that's absolutely right. And
We got
what's
we got
that?
Jeff Sontag in the chat. Hi, Jeff.
We're going to go back to the comments here.
Yeah.
Service dog is a hard topic. They asked me, and I was like, no way. The dogs need to pass certain evaluation even before they start training. Yes.
Definitely.
And even if they pass that certain evaluation, that doesn't mean that they're going to be guaranteed to pass all
Yeah,
the training, right?
exactly. Even in purpose-bred service dog breeding programs, like the dog is bred to do this with parents that are temperament tested and health tested. Even those, the wash rate is so high. And then we get clients who call, I got a rescue. Can you make him a service dog? And I'm like, I'll check out the dog, but I'll tell you, I'll be honest if it's service dog material or not.
Yeah, about
You know?
95% is probably going to be a no. 95%, like 5% chance that maybe yes. That means 5 out of every 100 we'll get, And Jeff is here. What's up, Jeff? Nate is here as well.
Awesome.
And keep in mind too that this was hired for a kid with stress disorder, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And so we have to realize that, look, man, are we making the situation worse here? Right? Who has severe anxiety, can't even leave the house.
Oh
Can't
my
it, and so
Poor
guess
kid.
what? We have just made the problem worse. Right. And so that's incumbent upon us as professionals, and especially when we're charging a premium for a product, into the 5 figures here. That's $18,000-$20,000. That's not I mean, that's a pretty big chunk of money,
Right.
and the expectations and the integrity should be there, and that falls on us as the professionals that are producing this product that's supposed to aid this person and their poor child that has a disability. But
Mhm.
when it works, man,
Yeah.
oof, when it works, it's magic.
Yeah.
You
I've
know,
got some real good clients that I'm so proud of, where I have them. So I try to keep my clients very, very involved in the training process, because if they're a bad handler in the training process, then we can cut it short right at the beginning. Or if the dog doesn't work out, we can cut it short in the beginning, and they can see how much work it actually goes into it. But placing a fully trained dog into the hands of someone who's never handled the dog before, doesn't know the dog's needs, doesn't know how to handle dog behavior, like that's where I feel like the expectation can get unreasonable.
mhm.
But yeah, for the clients that have finished service dogs that I've worked with for a year and a half, 2 years or something with them, it's beautiful. They go to work with them, they go to school with them, they make their life better. Like
Yes.
the teamwork is beautiful.
Well, and I tell them, look, and I've done some work for Canine Companions for Independence, where even if you are a really good handler, even if you do understand dog language, we still have upkeep that takes. Sometimes we
Mhm,
have to visit you a year,
mhm,
and just see, hey, where are these commands? Where's some degradation in some of this obedience? What's happening that
yeah,
you would like a little bit more help on? How can we polish this?
right.
Um, and I remember that I had this gal that was in a wheelchair, and I was like, tell me some of your stories. Like, what's some of the successes that you've had? I want to, see what's going on. And she had a wheelchair lift that was she had her front door had a little bit of a lift, and then when she was putting her key in, she dropped the key and it went underneath the lift, and so she couldn't lower the lift down to cover the key to get the dog.
No.
She couldn't, and so she had like there's certain aspects of this that we give them the parameters of like the training and the commands that the dog knows, but they're
Yeah.
existing with the dog in the real world every single day,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And so she sat there for a second. She didn't panic. The dog had an off command, an under, and the dog, and then a fetch. And so the dog, she
Oh
learned how
my
to get
god.
the dog to bring her the keys that fell underneath there, and she was so
Yeah.
proud of that, and I was so proud too, you know. But there's also times that this dog stopped doing the forced fetch, right?
Mhm.
And so stopped doing certain things that we had to kind of come in and discuss, like when did this start to happen, and evaluate the situation, look for the pattern of where this
Right.
kind of went off the path, and then to put them on the right path. And that takes the professional as well. But even if you're a really good handler, you're still working with us. We're still in your life. We're
Mhm.
still getting called for situations like that. And I think Kashi just said something here. I want to go to the comments again.
Yeah.
Such an interview twist to service dog. I find it fascinating to hear you guys say service dogs is a medical device. No one wants to be dependent on devices for too long.
Yeah, that's very true. In America, under the ADA law, they are categorized as medical devices. So
Yes,
that is where that terminology comes in, and therefore they have the right to be with people in public spaces wherever a medical device can go, which
that's right.
is everywhere in public.
You can't be like, hey, you can come in, but your oxygen tank can't. I'm sorry.
Right,
Right.
right. Or
It's
your
something
wheelchair,
that,
you gotta leave your wheelchair outside.
but listen, that oxygen tank is not barking, right? And there's certain
Yeah,
expectations. And if this service dog is causing a disturbance, then guess what? It's perfectly
exactly.
acceptable for people to ask you to take your service dog away and welcome you back without that animal,
Yeah,
because there are expectations, there are standards with service dogs. Now, emotional support animals are a little bit of a different story, but we're not, too much delving into that. I mean, a lot of people take advantage of the ESA, emotional support animal
mhm,
situation, and it really, really, it really reflects poorly on the service dog world. And I've seen service dogs that have been attacked by ESA, emotional support animals, quote unquote, that have actually really, really took a big problem in their training, because the dog needs to be safe, that there's expectations, and also people being idiots with the dogs and trying to pet them, trying to,
oh, and
you
then
know,
you know how the airplane laws have changed for ESAs because people are bringing on, like, peacocks and ducks and, like,
people are so
just not
interesting,
being
man.
considerate of people. There's nothing wrong if your ESA is not a dog, but if you're going to be inconsiderate and not think of other people around you, then that's why things like that get banned. And so the ESA laws have changed quite a bit on the airlines, and I anticipate probably the service dog laws are going to change too, because so much abuse of service dog laws.
Well, and that's what people I just don't think realize what goes into making these service dogs, like how
Mhm,
long it
mhm,
takes, the commitment that we make as trainers, and
mhm.
the commitment that people make financially into this, and
Yeah,
not only financially, but they learn as well and essentially become little dog trainers too.
for
Um,
sure.
is there here, I wanna see, is there a support dog that specializes in people with PTSD, panic disorder, agoraphobia, and OCD?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At least in America, yes. In America, there are psychiatric service dogs. They do qualify as any other service dog would. I'm not familiar with the laws for other countries, but in America, yes.
Yeah, absolutely, and think about it, man, like, some people, they just have the confidence with that dog,
Mhm.
right? And, that
Or
dog becomes a compass
very,
in their
very, very simple tasks. I work with a lot of PTSD dogs or service dogs for people with autism, and very, very simple things that healthy people take for granted. They can be very, very simple tasks, but they can help that person get through their day. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. There's certain things like getting stuck in fight or flight, fight, flight, or freeze. And for
Mm,
some people, their response is to freeze. And to unfreeze them, you just need to cue the dog. You need to teach the dog that the cue is this certain body language, and then you should respond to this cue by performing this certain behavior, which could be paw at the person, crawl into their lap, nudge their hand, something like that. And that simple behavior can be enough to unfreeze them from that little panic response that they have. Or I'll train service dogs to walk circles around people for people who are uncomfortable being in crowds, or train dogs to stand behind someone when they're in line. People with PTSD they're very uncomfortable with people standing behind them in line. So teach a dog to just sit behind them, sit to the right, sit to the left, just positions. And that little thing can help people have the courage to go buy themselves a jug of milk, right? For someone
yeah.
who's disabled, being able to do simple daily tasks is very, very difficult. And a lot of times people disregard psychiatric service dogs as real service dogs, but until you understand how the disability affects just being able to take care of yourself, right? That it's such a big impact to have just that little bit extra help to help that person get through their day.
I've been guilty of it, Jacqueline. I actually called Leslie Horton, who is a service dog trainer as well, and I was asking her, "Hey, I saw this lady with this stupid ESA support animal on her lap, licking her face on the airplane,"
Mhm.
and she was like, "Bill,
It's a task.
that dog could have been soothing that lady who was just having a
Yeah,
panic attack about ready to take that flight.
yeah,
It's not a stupid ESA." And I was just like, "You are right."
yeah.
And even me as a professional that works with these animals, like I
It's a
had to
very simple
reconsider
task.
my point. Say
Yeah.
that again?
I said it's a very simple task. Like, that behavior is not a complex behavior to teach, but to that
Right.
person, it's so
It gets them
valuable, it's so
it
helpful.
it gets them through that moment, and you know what?
Yeah.
I've had a panic attack on airplanes, dude, like, I fly all the
Yeah.
time, and the first time I really had a panic attack, I thought that I'm like, "Man, is it freaking getting hot in here? What's going on?" And I'm, like, stripping off my sweatshirt and stuff, and it just turns out that I had a panic attack, and,
Yeah.
I had a little bout of anxiety and panic attacks, in my late 30s, and, we think that it was traced back to, what do they call it? Nitrous oxide when I went to the dentist, and they said that a lot of times that bottoms out your B12,
Interesting.
and it
Interesting.
like, you can have panic, and I was like, "Holy smokes," because I
Wow.
had a lot of nitrous oxide, so just be mindful, but I'm okay now, and then, you know, it's just an extra set of eyes, an extra set of ears,
Uh-huh.
and, I mean, if the people feel comfortable and it allows them to exist
For sure.
out in the world and get through each day where we just don't know
Mhm.
what battles people are fighting, man, and as an individual, I think I needed to go through that bit of anxiety. I tell you, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Yeah. So before I was a dog trainer, I studied psychology in college. I was studying behavioral health and abnormal psychology. And the things that you describe, unless you felt it before, you don't really know how to respond to it. And so, like, understanding the difficulty that those people go through just to do simple tasks, like, makes me a lot more compassionate to why a simple behavior like licking your face is such a big deal.
It's soothing.
You know? Yeah.
And
Does
not
that
only that, but it keeps you from really spiraling it down into, something that can really get ugly. And then
Mhm.
I remember too, like I would have this anxiety attack or this panic attack, and then after it was done, I was just like, oh, thank God, because once you're over it, and so sometimes now that I could recognize that in people, and
Mhm.
I know that they just need some time and just need, not to be, not for focus to be brought to it or anything. Sometimes just
Right.
time for themselves, and then once they're over it, then it's like, okay, cool.
Right,
Like
right.
I get it, right? Because I've experienced it myself.
So to me, the service dog, I love dogs. That's why I train dogs, right? But to me, the service dog is that it is doing a service for a person. So it doesn't matter to me how difficult the task is to qualify as a service dog, or it doesn't matter how many hours, how complex of a behavior versus licking someone's face versus teaching a send away to an object to an unforced force fetch, retrieve that thing, and then put it on my lap. Like that's a way more complex behavior, right? But to
Yeah.
me, the big picture is, can that person get through their day, and can that person continue to contribute to society, and is that person bettering their life, right? That's what I value service dogs as. Whereas I feel like a lot of people, general members of the public, or people who are dog trainers, they disregard, like you said, they disregard a simple task. And if that simple task helps that person, then who am I to judge, right? They got
Yeah.
through their day. That's exactly what the dog's there for.
Well, and I want to shout out Gary Wilkes, and you guys check out his page. He's a hell of a trainer. Do you know Gary Wilkes by chance?
Mm-mm.
Well, he
That sounds
has
familiar.
an yeah, he's awesome. Gary Wilkes, Wilkes,
Mhm.
and I use. I know we're on the. We'll get on other topics here, but I think this is a good one here, and I'm going to put up a link here down to this product down below for the clickers, because I've had people that have had a disability where they couldn't push that clicker literally, or they were
Okay.
older, and so this one here. Let me share the screen here. It's this clicker right here Gary has made, and it actually has these this little bit. Oh, that's not really um, this little knob. I have a couple here. I just don't know where it is right at the top of my hand.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but literally, you can click it with your elbow. You can click it with the side of your hand.
Oh,
You can click it with your palm. You could click it with whatever you have. And I mean, I've had work with people that are paraplegics they can't really open their hands,
yeah.
right? And so they
Yeah.
can reach over and click it with their hand. And so a click and release. So I put a link to the Mega Click 3-pack. I shout out Gary,
Nice. Nice.
Gary
I like
Wilkes
that.
here. Most functional clicker and training is in clicker history. Hold firmly against designed for women who only had one hand. Who only had one arm. You can clip it to a pocket right around unnoticed until you need it, and it's a really, really good product. I've used and bought many of these. The links in the comments down below. Support Gary if you
Oh,
guys
that's
don't
great.
mind. And it's such I mean, I'd never even thought about that. And then I was like, I met this lady, and I was like, oh, I got something for you, right? And so
That's
check that
awesome.
out. So,
Very
um,
cool.
and then so you started to. You guys at the beginning of the talk, we were talking about Jaclyn and how she had a service dog, and how you didn't really like having a service dog.
Oh no, people are not nice. I've gotten like random strangers just like yelling out mean words to me because I present as able-bodied. Um or I presented as able-bodied, and so people are like, "Oh, you just want to bring your dog everywhere." And I'm a professional dog trainer, and I was handling the service dog when I was a professional dog trainer, and people would like stop me from entering their establishment, and then I'd say, "Okay, well, what if I tell you I'm a professional dog trainer? I'm a certified professional dog trainer." Those are the two people under ADA law that can have a service dog in public. It's the disabled handler, or it's a certified dog trainer who's training the dog. And I was like, what if I tell you I'm both? Then you can't argue with me.
Mhm.
But they would still argue with me. Or I would go to places where people don't speak English, and I can't I can't have a discussion, so they would just kick me out. Like, I'd be in a family gathering in a public restaurant, and they would specifically not let me in, but they would let everybody else in. And so it was just very difficult. It's not something I enjoy, but it's something I needed. And so for
And
that
it's
time period of my life, I just rearrange, where do I shop at? Where do I go? I got to plan ahead. Got to make sure there's no public access issues. Otherwise, then not going to get my groceries today, you know?
well, and especially people with psychiatric disorders or people that, are PTSD. I mean, it's the antithesis because, like you said, let everybody else in and then come to you, right? And so
Mhm.
it almost becomes a magnet for
Mhm.
exactly what those people don't want, and that is confrontation.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
So if you're
Yeah.
a business owner, and now keep in mind there are standards for these dogs, and this I'm assuming that your dog is not barking at everybody, not pulling on a leash, not being an idiot, right? That the
Right. Right.
dog is acting
Right.
like a working service dog,
Yeah.
right? And so we have working dogs and we have just regular dogs. And so that gets me into the Malinois. So what in the heck were you thinking when you got a Malinois? Was it just like
Oh, okay. So
just
I had my journey to become a dog trainer was not a straight path. I didn't mean to become a dog trainer. I've always loved animals. I've always loved dogs. I've always had dogs growing up, and the service dog is what got me into dog training because instead of me paying a trainer to train my service dog, he ended up hiring me. And so I was like, "Sweet, this is a 2 for 1 deal. I help you, you help me. I learn to train my dog and I work for you." And so that's kind of what got me into dog training in the first place. And
okay,
then when I left that business, I love to hike. I love to be outdoors and I like to backpack. In fact, me and my service dog hiked a 220-mile trail in 2020 together. So we stayed
Pacific
on the
Crest
trail.
or
What was that?
is it the Pacific Crest Trail or
The John Muir Trail
oh,
in
John Muir?
California.
Fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. It goes from Yosemite to Mount Whitney. Mount Whitney's the highest mountain in the United States outside of Alaska. And so we stayed on the trail for 3 weeks. I lived off a 18-pound backpack. Every bit of my belongings that I needed to survive belonged in that backpack. But anyways, yeah, I like to be outdoors. I like to hike and I like the ability to do that by myself too. If there's no one available, I just want to be able to go out. So I wanted a dog that was athletic to go on like 20-mile hikes, long at altitude or something. And I wanted to make sure that if I needed to hike out the dog, I could hike out the dog. So nothing over 50 pounds. 50 pounds was my cap. And so my friend is like, "Oh, hey, I got a buddy that's got a Malinois for adoption. You want to see her?" And I met her, and my threshold for aggression is very, very high. I had a very, very nasty German Shepherd, and
Okay.
the pet place that I worked for specialized in very, very aggressive multiple bite record dogs and things like that. So my threshold for aggression is pretty high. I'm fairly comfortable. And so I see this little Malinois with like a lot of behavioral issues and kind of a bite risk. And so I was like, well, I'm not a dog trainer anymore, and I want a dog that will make me feel safe outside. I'm confident I can control this kind of dog because I've done it quite a bit in the past. And so I adopted this little Malinois for like a few $100. It's like the best $300 I ever spent. She was cool. She's still around, so she still is cool. And yeah, so she was my first Malinois. I didn't mean to adopt a Malinois. I was like, my options are open. I will take a Malinois, a giant Schnauzer. There's a small list of breeds that I was interested in, and I adopted her. And then months after adopting her, the last owner told me where she originated from. And I was like, whoa. I looked at her parents and I was like, whoa, you can do that with a dog. And so I just called up my local PSA club. I was like, hey, I got this dog. I don't know what she can do, but you wanna come? Can I bring her? And they're like, yeah, come on over. So I met cool people there. And then that kind of led me down the path of going to seminars in my area, going to different clubs and just watching, and that kind of set me down that path with that dog. But that wasn't on purpose. That was an accident. So I consider myself lucky. That dog definitely opened up a very, very large world for me. And then at that same time period, I was shadowing, or I followed a FEMA search and rescue team for urban search and rescue. And I was like, the first day I showed up and they were running a dog on the rubble pile. And I was like, did you show this dog where that person was? How did they do that? Are you serious that that dog smelled out that person in the rubble pile? Like I couldn't, I'd never seen it before. I was purely into pets only. And I definitely lived under a rock in my little pet world. It was just a job to me. And yeah, that first time I had seen that dog find people in the rubble pile, and then they would hide me in the rubble pile. And I was like, this is crazy. How'd you do that? So I started to do scent work with that malinois, just funsy little
Love
essential
that stuff,
oils in the
man.
park. Just I don't know what I was doing. I was just playing with them. But yeah, eventually those seminars led me down to find Napopo, and I looked up Bart and Michael, and I didn't know anything about them. I knew nothing about them when I signed up. I was just like, hey, they use e-collars. I use e-collars. They seem like someone I could learn from. The budget was right. The time was right. And so I was like, emailed Michael and Bert. I was like, hey, you got space? And so I drive to Missouri, show up to class. And I remember leaving school. When I left school, before school, when I was working for the other location, I was like, I considered myself a fairly good dog trainer. Within my circle under my little rock, the little
Of
rock that we
course,
lived
yes.
under, I was like a pretty good trainer, right? And then I had been running a business for a while, and it was a very successful business. And I I was like, I could take any dog that calls me, whatever problem, I can take the dog. It's fine. And so I considered myself fairly experienced. And then I go to Napo school, and I was like, what the heck? You do that? You could do that with the dog? And then I went to Gold School and we man trailed Ragnar. And I was like, whoa, it was like my urban search and rescue all over
Yeah.
again, where I was like, how did he do that?
You know, I have a little skipper key here, and that was the first thing that we did at my Gold School. And I pull out, everybody's got these, shepherds and Malinois and pit bull, and oh geez, we had all different breeds there. Even I think we had a Rottweiler there, and then here I come with this little 9-pound skipper key, and then Jake, one of my fellow students, was like, "Why are you bringing that dog here?" And I was like, "Just that's what I
Just
wanted
what?
to bring, man." And then
Yeah,
I went and hid into the forest, and you should have seen that dog find me immediately. And I came back, and Jake's like, "Dude, I get it. I totally get it." Like these
that's
dogs, they have the drive,
cool.
and even the little dogs, they can have it too, right? And
Yeah.
so, and really quick, while I'm thinking about it, I posted up a link. My hoodie here is a Napopo hoodie, and I wanted to show everybody that this hoodie is available for purchase from my friends Alicia and
Oh,
Patrick
I
Lockett.
love that.
And so I put up a link in the comments below. There's beautiful Alicia right there modeling it, and this is
That
what
was the
the
question I
Napopo.
asked you when you logged on. I was like, "Nice sweatshirt. Where'd you get that?" I
So
love
there's
that.
a comment right here. Looks like they're
Nice.
in stock. So you guys go support them. And I do love this hoodie.
I
It
love
is
it.
white, right? And so that's the only downfall. I think they should
Oh,
make a
mine will not
black
stay in
one.
white.
Yeah, mine either. So check
I
that
like
out.
your nice olive. Is yours white or olive drab?
Oh no, this is what
No.
happens after I've had it
Oh!
for so long. Well, it's also the shadow. It is still white. I don't know if
Okay,
I
okay,
put
okay.
it
It
into
almost looks like
the
it's
light.
kinda olive color.
Right, that's the dinge that happens with the white after a while. Well, and I also have green on my computer screen
Gotcha,
here
gotcha.
as
So
my
it's the light.
wallpaper, so it's kinda like the reflection of the light here. And then, also while I'm thinking about it, I'm so bad at self-promotion. If you guys wouldn't mind checking out my Patreon page, I'm gonna put up a link while I'm thinking about that as well in the comments down below. And I just purchased a 360 camera from all my Patreon supporters. You guys are
Nice,
awesome. Thank
nice.
you. Thank you. Thank you for supporting me. If you like these conversations that I do. And do you know what, Jaclyn? I forgot to ask you. Let's do something for my Patreon, a little thing. Okay. Let's do
I'm
something
down.
for like the silver, or let's do some Napo stuff on the
Do it.
Patreon. Yeah. Well, so we'll
Okay.
we'll do that. I'll post up when that's available for you guys. And then let's hit up the comments before we get too far along
Yes.
here.
I see Barry's in the comment section.
Yes, he
Hi,
is.
Barry.
Hi, Barry. A madman's dance is only funny if he's not from your family. Everyone has a different battles, different for all of us. Yep, absolutely. Gary Wilkes, he has a way with words. He does. He's awesome, and he's got a lot of great resources on his page. You guys check him out. First man got started his clicker training, never got his due. And Barry says, "Hi, Jaclyn." And he also says, "I'm working on those videos for your course."
Sweet. I'm so excited. So Kashi later asks, what videos is he referring to?
Yes.
I had mentioned Barry in my online webinar because I was talking about how going to New Silver School is so important because you get to meet cool people and they give you inspiration, or for me it does. For me to meet new people at New Silver School every single time I meet someone cool like yourself, and it
Likewise.
kind of motivates me, gives me ignition, motivates me to see something and go, hey, I want to do that. So I had talked about Barry. We had spoken at the March New Silver School, and I was telling my students, like, oh, I met someone who does this. I met someone who does this. And Barry caught my interest quite a bit. He does retriever work and he does remote directionals. And so I had mentioned it, and then one of my students asked me, and I was like, hey, Barry, do you have, like, where can I show my students, or where can I refer them to? He's also a multiplicator too. So he's someone that's, I really enjoy our talk that we had. But yeah, that's what we're talking about, Kashi.
Cool.
Robert in the chat.
Robert Rodriguez,
Robert.
how you doing, buddy? And then do you have a link that we can share to your videos, or how do people watch those videos? Because Kashi's wanting to know what he's referring to. Is it just something that you have available on your page, or where are those videos at?
So I believe Barry has them in progress, but the videos that I'm referring to where I was talking to my students, that's my webinar.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you do these webinars every so often, or do you have them recorded, or okay?
I present them live. So I have small classes so that people can ask questions, and I would like it to be a little interactive, but it's basically a NAPOPO theory course for people who can't make it to New Silver School, or they don't have time to, or whatever reason they're curious, or like myself, I knew nothing about NAPOPO. And I was like trying to find all the information on all the training pages, went to Facebook, typed in keywords, couldn't find anything about NAPOPO that was explained how it was different than putting pressure on a dog, releasing pressure, and giving it a treat. Right. I was a pressure trainer. So I was like, what's the difference between what I'm doing now and just adding a nice little present on top at the end? Right. I couldn't understand that. So
well,
I
my
wanted
notes from the school, dude. Let me grab one of my books here. Right, this one, my recent ones, and I mean it's just so thorough. Where we go into, the prerequisites, right, of like what we have to do. Like this is just the start of some of the that we just did. Like, and you'll see some of the triangles and whatnot. And
dude, at the last school in June, I was like, I'm gonna go like write everything down. I got 45 pages of notes because I was like, I need to make sure that my webinar is thorough, it's accurate, it's what should be presented, what should be taught. So yeah, my notebook looks like yours.
yeah, well, and let's go back to when you went, because I had the same experience, Jaclyn. My mind was because I learned from my family, like on in the field with herding dogs, with livestock, right? That's essentially how I learned. And then I learned from a yank and pull trainer back when in the late 80s, right? And so, I mean, things have progressed so much, and especially when you start to learn. I saw Bart personally. I saw him at an IACP conference. I talk about this, where he actually we did a lot of role playing, and we do a lot of role playing in these schools. I'll be doing a lot of role playing in my gold school.
Yeah,
and
same.
Right, the perspective.
So valuable.
It's so valuable to make yourself the dog, essentially. Like, you want to get into, I tell people the number one mistake that people make is anthropomorphizing this animal, or putting human characteristics, where it's actually a disservice to this animal, because they're not capable of the thought processes that we have. Right. And so instead we need to flip it and become the dog by proxy, and look through the eyes through a dog, or through a dog's eyes, and how they see the world around them. And the role playing is exactly how we do that.
Funniest thing at the last school when you remember when Doug was on stage and then at one point he ran off the stage and Bart was like, "Well, now we see how you train dogs." And I was like, "That's valuable too. When I have a student be the handler or when I have the student be the dog, it tells you so much about how do they expect the dog to respond. They respond to the pressure, they respond to the clicker, the way that they perceive their dog training how it should go, right? And so
Yeah.
I was like, that is so true. That's so valuable to have people demonstrate that in front of yeah. He
Dancing
was like,
bear dog.
do I torque faster?
Yeah, then he turns around.
Yeah.
And I actually
Hilarious.
messaged him, yeah, because
Hilarious.
he messaged me, and just he was like, "Dude, he was like, I didn't realize you're Bow Wow Bill or something. I don't know." And I was like, "Hey man, I love the way to shake your butt." That's what I sent back to him,
Yeah. I
and
ended
he
up hanging out with him quite a bit at the English Lodge after class. We would just all collect in the English Lodge after school. But yeah, good talks.
well, and I took every test, and so
Hmm.
what I did is I took my silver school in 2018, and then I took gold in 2020, and then I took 2 years off from dog training. I cared for my wife, and
Right.
and so I had a little bit of gap where I just kind of was waiting to get back into this, and I'm so glad that I went to the new silver school just to see how much has grown and see what
Yeah.
has changed, and it's continuing to grow, and to meet some wonderful people. But I was kind of, I wouldn't say trepidatious. I was kind of reserved just because I've been out of the scene for a little bit, right? And so
Mhm.
getting back into it, and just seeing like, man, this stuff, when you learn this way, it's valuable because you really learn. And I did really well on the tests, even though they were different, and
Mhm.
I still haven't scored perfect yet on a test, but I came pretty close, and I passed every single one of them,
What'd you
which
get?
my oh geez, like I was up in the 90s. I mean, I was up
Nice,
there,
nice.
right? And I think that when I first went to silver school, what was your idea of the tests, and how did you do with the very first time that you went through this?
Oh, I just wanted to say for people who are not familiar with the test that we're talking about, it's a 400-point test that you take on the last day of Napopo New Silver
Mm,
School. It's a culmination of the previous day's tests, but it's worth 400 points, and you have to get 90% to pass to get your certification. So if you don't get 90%, you got to explain yourself.
yeah.
um, Go
The
ahead.
bar is set high. The bar is set high, and that's what I like about this too.
Yeah.
And not only that, but people want it, man. I mean, and that's the same thing with how the dog training, how we want to do it. We want the dog to want it. We want to produce that ignition. We want that hope, and so
Right.
it's almost like practicing what you preach, right? And so
Yeah.
that's what I love about it is it's like we're walking the walk. We're not just talking the talk,
Yeah.
and it is challenging, man. I remember thinking the second day of silver school when I first went, I was like, holy shit, I might not pass. Like I was really, I just was.
I know it's the pressure. It's the struggle. There's something that Bart had said in this last school that I was like, "This makes so much sense." It's one of the reasons why I put tests in my webinar. Um, well, not this particular reason, but I really, really like this thing that he said. He said, "People who succeed together, they don't bond, but you struggle and you suffer together, and you're brothers for life. You know, you're
Mhm.
friends for life." And I have been to quite a few dog training seminars or schools, things that are a number of days or weeks long. And there are people that I met for 5 days in silver school, and we didn't go to gold together, but I still talk to them every day, all the time for years, right? They're some of my very, very close friends. And then there's some people I've spent 10 days with them, never talk to them, never this is other schools, right? But, like, the way that Bart creates this culture and he creates this, like, sense of community and teamwork and, like, it's so special that unless you've seen how other people run their schools, you kinda take it for granted, you know? Like, the fact that I show up to New Silver School and I've never met you before, and, like, you're super nice to me, and then I talk to other people, and I'm super nice to them because we all kind of have a type of community together. It's
Yeah.
but it's so special. But going back to the test thing, that's where that comes from. Is we all rely on each other. Me and that old friend from silver school, we would do our study group. We'd panic. We'd be sweating. We'd be drilling each other after class. Super nervous.
Uh-oh.
Michael says we do that on purpose. Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Struggle is important to learn. I
Right. But it
agree.
makes it valuable, and it holds the weight. And not only that, but it brings camaraderie.
Yes.
And I'll always remember Adrian Forsyth, who helped me at my Airbnb during my silver school, and sat down, and we just got through it. And she made
Yeah.
sure that I got it, and I did get it. And the thing is also, like, this isn't surface level stuff, man. Like, we get really deep into and focus each day on just a particular quadrant and
Mhm.
the advantages, the disadvantages. And it's not like they're telling us, hey, only use our method. It's like, it's also
Michael.
that's why Michael,
Yeah.
you know, I tip my hat off to Michael, because these tests are something else. But it's also like, it's we don't they don't they don't really poo-poo anything. They just say the truth about each
Yeah.
philosophy,
That's
right?
another thing.
And why, what are the advantages of this? What are the disadvantages of this?
I love that.
And what would you rather incorporate into your methodology as a trainer? And not only that, but this is like a wireframe where you
Mhm.
make it yours. And as somebody that has been, you know, 2018 was when I first took it, and it has taken me, like, even today, I'm not 100% on how it's mine, but I'm getting there, you know, and how valuable it is that I can take and utilize this for, and kind of put my own little signature on it. But it's also valuable to speak with people like you, Jaclyn, that
Yeah.
have made it their own. And I see how you do your webinars, and I love it, you know. And I want to borrow stuff from other trainers in the community. And it's not like we're competing together. It's like we're
Yeah.
cooperating together, because at the end of the day, we're all in this, I hope, for the
Yeah.
benefit of the dog.
For sure. Something you said that we never poo-poo on other people's trainings. I remember in silver, I had asked Bart about his opinion of a particular trainer that is controversial.
Okay.
And something that he said to me was, if it works, it works. You know, like that thing, there's a million ways to roam kind of thing. But that's something I take into my training as a teacher too. I'll tell my students there's no, I won't tell you that it's wrong. There's no wrong way to do it unless you're violating animal welfare laws. There's no wrong way to do it, but I will tell you the disadvantages. And I'll share with you my opinion, but doesn't mean that my opinion is gold or the one way to do it. You
Yeah.
know, I would prefer to have a student that understands why do they do things instead of blindly following me because I told them to do it, you know, or because they respect my opinion or whatever. I want them to understand that, like, hey, that's there's advantages and there's disadvantages, because also if you're very opinionated as a teacher and you close off those options to other people to learn and explore, then you kind of smash that ignition. And people hold on to your what you say to them for a long time. And my opinion could change next week. And I don't want to be that person that discouraged you from learning from so and so because this day of the week I disagreed with their method, you
Yes.
know. So I
Well, and
think, yeah, keeping an open mind is very important.
find your advantage, right? That's something that the dog does, and that's
Mhm.
why the dog does, is to better their situation. And
Yeah.
if somebody betters their training situation through a pearl that they've learned from somebody else, then so be it,
Yeah.
right? And we all have something to teach each other, but we also have something to learn from each other, and that takes us putting beside our ego sometimes, and
Definitely.
allowing, the holes in our program to be realized as well. We
And you
got some
can't
comments building up too. Go ahead. You
I
can't
was gonna
what?
say, you can't let the it's a construct, right? The idea of dog trainers, the reason dog trainers compete with each other is because we're business owners and we're competing for money, or we're sports competitors and we're competing on the field. And the thing that I learned from being in so many different dog training circles is the culture of each discipline that I would train with is so vastly different. Like the
Yes.
competitiveness of the bite sport world, you and I talked about it, very ego heavy, super like, I gotta beat the other
Machismo.
person. Right. And then, like, if you go to the search and rescue people, or you go to the people who are in therapy dog, they're compassionate people. That's why they do it. And they're just so nice, and they support each other, and they're so kind, and it's so different. But yeah, if we're talking about dog trainers who have businesses, or they're out there for money, or they're out there to win titles, it's very, very easy to give into that and fall into it and start tearing other people down to build yourself up. And
And
that's
thinking
something
your
I'm
way is the only
yeah,
way, right?
exactly.
And
That's
just like
something I'm very not interested in.
Michael says, tribes are dangerous. I could not agree more, because in the bite world, then we got people that are, machismo, and their ego is up. But then also in the therapy dog world, we can be too compassionate and not correct a dog in a way that is meaningful, or they will see negative reinforcement as the devil, and it's like,
Oh,
look,
my whole team was on e-collars. I was lucky. I had a good team.
well,
Yeah.
that's a good understanding, but it's like it clouds their judgment, is what I'm trying to say here, because of the tribe, the culture. What are the first 4 letters of the word culture?
Cult.
Right.
Okay, let's go back to these comments.
Okay.
You're gonna read them.
It becomes essentially a cult. So Joey's on. Let me see here. Barry, let's go back up here. We stopped at. I think we want to shout him out anyway.
Hi, Robert.
Barry was generous enough to talk to me, give me pointers on my directional work. Shout out to Barry. I would love to. Barry, man, maybe we should do a live stream with you if you're interested.
Barry's one
Joey,
of those quiet people that I want to learn more about.
I would too. Joey's from YouTube, you guys, and just a quick reminder, head over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Role playing is best. Absolutely.
Yep.
Dancing Bear Doug.
Freaking Doug. Still, he works faster.
Ooh, look at that. First test smoked me. See, that first test, man.
Nice.
After the first day, it was so satisfying to look around at everybody's eyes and just see myself in them, right? When I went to the new silver school, and I just remember how panicked I was after taking that first test, and just be like, I don't know shit.
I feel like a large amount of my learning came from the tests. It's because, like, I can listen all day long and be like, that makes sense in my head. That makes sense in my head. And then I go to the test, and then you realize, oh no, did I really understand what I thought I understood?
Yeah, and I just read through it. I'm just like, oh my, it could be this one. Wait a second. Let me read it. Let me read this again, in each answer, because people that don't understand with these tests, one answer could be right. 0 answers could be right. All 4 of them could be right. 3 of them, and
400 points. 400 points on that test. Okay.
All right, Jaclyn, you don't know this, but her post on her Gold School where she did what's a Bringsel?
Oh, Bringsel alert.
What's a Bringsel alert?
So in my Gold School, I'll try to make the story fast, but in my Gold School, I was working with my dog, and we're just like freestyling, whatever. And I was working on her stand stay, and Bart was like, she's going forward. I'd be walking, and I tell her stand, and she'd go forward just a little bit. And so he's like, why don't you try taking your tug and attaching it to your collar, and then reward her to her collar on her tug on her collar. And so I was like, oh, so that'll prevent her from following me because she has the reward with her. And so that went down a whole rabbit hole. The next day in school, we went over the Bringsel, which was a German hunting video where they're sending dogs to go down like a blood trail to find a deer that's been shot. And then you send the dog, and the dog comes back and alerts you that they found the animal by holding the Bringsel in their mouth. Then you out them, you reward, and you send again. And so you follow the dog to lead you back to the deer. But it's a very useful area alert if you have an area search dog. Fantastic. And so in my Gold School, that was something that I did with my dog, where we had her smell Michael's bracelet in a jar. We send away to her jacket on the floor, retrieve the item, repeat, and then transfer the retrieve item to her collar, and then have her alert that she found the odor by grabbing the Bringsel, putting it in her mouth, and bringing it back to me.
Love it. What prompted me to learn from her. I never had heard about Bringsel alert. Well, there we go. Till then,
same. I didn't know what a Bringsel alert was. But that was
Yep.
cool. It was super, super cool.
Second day, 10 a.m., I was wore out mentally.
That's why there's coffee in every room.
That's right. And
I had like a coffee with my iced tea, with my lemonade, and my water.
yeah, totally.
Yep, I feel that.
Even as a gold multiplicator, I took every single test except for the final because we were
Same.
grading them, right? And I
Yeah.
encourage people, I want to do it. I'm there to learn, man. And repetition is the mother of learning, right? So we
Yes.
do it over and over and over again. And I want to know this stuff so well that we can be effective teachers of
Yeah.
the program, right?
Right.
And then here's Michael again. We do it on purpose. We're talking about the struggle. And Bart didn't initially want the tests. Bart. Dirty deeds. All right. Jennifer says, love and highly recommended the video, recommend the webinar for anyone wanting a sampling intro to NAPOPO. I've learned from many, both in person and online, and Jaclyn's webinar is the best. A strong support system coming out of NAPOPO Silver and Gold, and going into applying the principles to all your clients and sport dogs is crucial. Jaclyn and Chris are all of that. People pick people that have time for you after and can really explain things with great patience and understanding. Can you tell that I'm a little dyslexic by how I read it? You know, we were talking about that. But I mean, yeah. I'm fine with it. It's something that I've lived with, and I force myself to read, but sometimes because I do have a learning disorder, I have to go back and read things over and over again, or sometimes I'll get off on a tangent when I'm reading something. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I just put things back, like the words and sometimes letters where they shouldn't be. Yeah. Michael says that it is to spread the word, right? We don't poo-poo stuff.
I wanted to go back to Jennifer real quick.
Oh, sorry. I'm just
no, you're good. You're good. I just want to say Jennifer's like, she's so nice. She's so supportive of me, so supportive of many of our colleagues. She's just a very kind, sweet person. And she's always learning. She's like always at seminars, always going places. And I appreciate her a lot. She's a very kind person. Chris in here that she's talking about is my teaching partner for Gold School. So she's saying Jaclyn and Chris are all of that. Chris is great. Chris is a very skilled trainer, and we complement each other very well in our Gold School. He does a lot of the hands-on work. I do a lot of the classroom work, and then we'll swap. But he's a good person. He's a good person to have around. I met him in a NAPOPO seminar, and then I was like, hey, you hear about the school? They have a school. And he's like, yeah, I was thinking about going. And I was like, well, I don't want to go by myself because I've never been to Missouri. And he was like, I don't want to go by myself either. And he said, if you go, I'll go. And I said, if you go, then I'll go. Obviously we went together. But yeah, we met each other through NAPOPO, and now we work together, we teach together, we train together. So he's another person in the NAPOPO community that I really value.
What's his last name?
Nguyen.
Chris Nguyen. Okay.
Yeah, Christo Nguyen on Facebook.
Okay. And that's why you're the best, my friend. Shout out to you as well, Jennifer. You're the best. And she's in Southern Utah, you guys. So if you need a good trainer in Southern Utah, St. George, Utah. That's right.
I want to go visit her next time.
It's beautiful down there. And then you got to go hike Zion. You'll love it, dude.
I've done Angel's Landing.
Okay,
I want to do the Narrows next.
I want to do Canyonlands, yeah,
that place is huge. You can get lost there.
I love it too. I mean, and that's where, and I do want to talk about search and rescue stuff too. So I want to get there as well. I have some of these books that I recommend. Finn says, teaching them how to think, not just how to train. Just kidding. It's how to train.
Like
always the best way.
Give a guy a fish versus teaching
for
him
a
to
day,
fish.
Right.
Yeah.
You give a guy a fish, he eats for a day. You teach a guy to fish, he eats for a lifetime.
That's the thing about me teaching Gold School or teaching webinars. You cannot possibly train a dog trainer in 5 days. It's impossible. You cannot. If you say you can, I don't know what quality you'll get. But I want to make sure that if I train someone in 5 days, that I teach them how to think for themselves. And I give them passion to keep going, because there's no way I could teach everything in 5 days. And I don't believe that I know everything either. But my passion is what drives me to keep learning. And I got that passion from school, So,
Well,
yeah.
and keep in mind too that, and I've said this on the previous live stream that I just did with Val, there's a 3-part process to learning, right? There's a preparation, there's the actual experience of the class, but then there's a processing afterwards too.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, they just do these webinar or not webinar, but seminar hopping,
Yeah.
and give yourself time to process. Give yourself some time to let this information soak in. And I know people want things quickly, and we belong to the age of instant gratification with all these devices that we have that can give us a lot of information at the push of a button.
Mhm.
But learning doesn't always work that way. And so I recommend myself, how do you feel about that? To give yourself time to allow the information to process, and to give
Definitely.
yourself a network of people that you can bounce ideas off of.
Yeah.
Yep. Same thing.
Okay. What else do we have here?
Tribes are dangerous. And then quiet, I don't know if she's the question mark, so I don't know what we were
I don't
talking
remember.
about
Yeah.
at the time. Sorry if you're still here, Michael. What's up,
Hey,
Matt?
Matt.
Matt's another gold multiplicator.
Yeah, I met him for the first time at this last one when I met
And
you.
you gave me a great idea. So what I'm going to do, you guys, is on my YouTube channel here in the next few days, is that I'm going to start compiling the gold multiplicator interviews that I've done
Yes.
together into a gold multiplicator playlist. Okay, so all the gold multiplicators, there's so many out there, and I want you guys to watch the talks that I've done, and I've done one with Matt as well, and to see the people that you want to learn from. So if you're a new silver school grad and you want to go to gold, I'm going to start putting that list together, and I'll announce when I do, and I'll announce when I do my gold class as well. And we're going to be working. I'm going to do a gold school with Duke Ferguson as well. We're working on the curriculum too.
So, my student in Gold School, I had been asking him, like, how did he pick us, or like, what was the thought process behind it? And it seemed very overwhelming. And when you look at the NAPOPO graduate page, there's like, I don't know, 50 or 70 of us. And it's like, how do you know? And the description is real short, right? Which is, it kind of gives you an idea of who they are. But I think being able to watch you talk to them and see their personality and talk a little bit about like who they are, what they like, that helps it be less overwhelming. It helps somebody be able to go like, oh, hey, I'm really interested in what this person has to say. So I was telling that to my student. I was like, hey, if you want to learn more, check out their social media. And then I was like, oh, your list has like a ton of gold multiplicators on there.
Yes.
So
And
I think
I'm
that's
going
very
to
nice.
put out here too, like if you are a gold multiplicator, you have an open invitation onto one of my live streams as well. So that's kind of a precursor. If you want to come on, let me know. And I'm sorry if I haven't reached out to you. I definitely am interested talking with you, and I love just talking to people. And that's what I was telling Jaclyn, is this is kind of like a derivation of when I was a bartender. And I would love to just like to get to know people, just chat with them. And
I'm
so
just like that.
yeah, I mean, it's so cool. It's fascinating what people are like. And I'm a
Yeah.
humanitarian, and I love people, and I love to learn from people, but I also like to get to know them and what makes them tick, and it's just so fascinating. So
Yeah.
Joey says, I'm going to do silver silver again, just so I can take better notes. Fantastic. It's like I might have a delivery. My dogs are barking out there. That's funny, Jaclyn. I don't drink coffee, but I did at New Silver.
Oh man. I was out
We did.
every night until they kicked us out. I would stay until 10 p.m. until the staff would kick us out.
I was
And then
I
we'd
was
wake
the
up in the
other
morning
way.
and do it all over again.
I know myself, and so I purposely got a hotel that was away, a little bit away, and so I could get some sleep. Otherwise, I would stay up all night.
Oh no, I was like staying until they'd kick us out, and then I'd go to the Angler's Lodge across the street.
Yep, I know. And I know
Oh,
myself, like, I would just stay up
yeah,
all night, so I like to get my sleep, and just so I can learn, right? Sleep is valuable in
yeah,
our thought process, and
yeah.
uh
I don't drink coffee either, but I definitely did.
Yeah, I do, and I drink. The thing I loved about this is that I don't eat breakfast hardly ever, but I was eating breakfast and lunch and dinner. What good food, huh? That
Oh
was
my god,
it's
yeah. I
amazing,
was
amazing.
amazed. I
Yeah,
was like, it's such a downside that we can't take pictures because this food is beautiful.
I know.
Like,
Draw
the
pictures
food
of
that
it.
we man.
To get back to dogs, watch later. Yeah, everybody, share this if you don't mind. Most of the people watch after the fact. So Matt, love you, dude. Good to have you here. And Matt's
Yeah.
in Hood River, Oregon. So check him out as well. And I've done a live stream with Matt. That was awesome. Spelled Win.
It's spelled Nguyen. She got it close. That's Chris Nguyen.
Oh, New
What
Win.
can
New Win.
people
Okay.
yeah, Chris Nguyen. What can people hope to learn from your gold school? Oh,
From your
that's a good
respective gold
question.
school. So, yeah, go ahead. I mean, I am a little bit different, so I want to get into the nose work aspect of this stuff and how
Mhm.
do we baby step the information up to, teaching the dog. Well, first off, we'll start with ground disturbancy, and then we'll go into some box feeding stuff, and then article, and then discrimination, and then how do we shape the behavior for the dog to go to put their nose into the clear jar. And do you know why I want a clear jar?
So you can see the humidity?
That's right. So I want to make sure the dog is actually using that nose
Yeah.
to sniff.
Condensation.
That's right. So I can see what's going on there. So a little test, little test question
Yeah.
there.
I like
Um,
that.
and then we're going to be doing some tracking and trailing and man trailing as well. And teaching that dog to use their nose. A lot of times we teach those dogs to use their eyes inadvertently just by the way we train them. And I need that
Mhm.
dog to use the nose, use that God-given, that gift that they have that is much better than ours. So my gold school will focus on that, but I'm also going to be looking at some aspects of being present and communication, staying calm. And there's just the certain things that I'll be working on that's going to be unique for my gold school. And but we're also going to be working together as a team. We're also going to be doing some role playing. And one thing that I really like to do too is I like to become the student. And guess what? You're the teacher now. And so we can role play not just about the dog behavior, but about human behavior and how to
Yeah,
teach this
that's
stuff.
important.
Right. And what
Very
you've left out, what you put emphasis on, what, how you've explained things. And so that's just a little bit of what I want to do with my gold school. And my gold school is going to be a little bit longer. I want my gold schools to be a minimum of 7 days, and maximum of 10 days. So sometimes people are 5 days. Mine, I want to be the maximum of double that as well. And then we're also going to be doing an e-collar certification with my school. So, what about
great.
yours?
So my gold school, what I wanted to do was I wanted to replicate how the things that I took away from my gold school. So when I went to gold school, we worked on a very wide variety of behaviors. We worked on a lot of the classic NAPOPA exercises like the pedestal, the unforced force fetch, the flex pole, the position box. Like we worked on all of that. And then the takeaway that I enjoyed the most from my school was doing like the scent wheel or utilizing um, the box feeding for various purposes. Like there's so many functions for the box feeding.
Mhm.
And then I really enjoyed man trailing with Ragnar. I really like watching the working dogs, right? So at my last gold school, I tried to incorporate a lot of that and I tried to tailor it to my student. Uh, my student was lucky. He had two teachers and he was the only student. So we did whatever he wanted to learn. We were like, all right, let's do it. Like I had a syllabus to go by, but he had a new puppy malinois and so he wanted to do sport. And I was like, okay, what sport do you want to do? And he was like, I don't really know. And I was like, okay, let's learn about sport today. What's the difference between KNPV, French ring, Mondioring, IGP? Like, let's go down that path and we'll talk about that as one of our side conversations. And
Excellent.
then he wanted to work on demo dog precision. He has a pet training business and he wanted to learn how to do pet training efficiently in the NAPOPO system. And so we talked about that. But yeah, I wanted to keep my Gold School very, very open, very diverse, because as I mentioned, I came into NAPOPO school with one type of education, and now I pursue many diverse types of educations. And so I want to make sure that I give my student that. I give my student a little taste. You get a little taste of this, and if you like it, we can run with that. I give you a little taste of this, and if you like that, we can run with that. So I post on the NAPOPO page that I'm a pet trainer because that is my specialty. I do consider myself still learning in the other disciplines, and so I don't want to misrepresent, and I also might not have the things needed to teach that, right? You need a certain amount of land to do man trailing, or if you want to do an area search, you need a certain amount of land. And if you want to do bite work, you need a decoy. And so I am comfortable and confident teaching pet training, and I am comfortable, confident teaching NAPOPO theory. And yeah, I kind of want to offer the experience that I experienced at my Gold School, because that was a big part of
Well,
my
the manners minder, the Skinner
yeah,
box,
the treat and
right?
train,
Treat
the
and
role
train. Oh yeah,
playing. Yeah.
yep. And then of course the pedestal too. That's when I got here, I got all these pedestals, and not only do I have them for the big dogs, I got little pedestals for the little dogs too,
Yes, my
you know?
Maltese. I got one for my Maltese. But yeah, so at my Gold School, we had 15 dogs, and so my student worked 15 dogs, each different like, so we worked on sport detection, we worked on teaching him how to work on fixing a grip in the bite box. We taught him the unforced force fetch with his puppy. We worked on building up a demo dog for one of his other dogs. We showed him our demo dogs. We showed him our working dogs. And then we kind of let him work with our dogs too, if he wanted to work with them that were further on in their learning process. So he got a very, very diverse amount of types of dogs and training disciplines and progression of stages, which I think is very, very valuable for you to understand. Like, we don't just work on this one stage for 15 dogs. We worked on different behaviors for all different kinds of dogs and all different kinds of breeds. So for me, that was another takeaway from my Gold School, was just the quantity and diversity of dogs. How do you troubleshoot the sight hound versus how do you troubleshoot the malinois versus how do you troubleshoot the border collie, right? They're all very different. And for a dog trainer, that's very valuable to understand what the difference is in breed type. Like, what are their reinforcers? What are their perceptions of punishment? So
Well, and knowing that, look, we curate what the dog has, we don't make what the dog isn't, and we focus on the strengths of that animal. And as a pet dog trainer, you're going to be encountering a variety aspect of dogs, and it's good.
right.
It's important to have this eclectic knowledge base. And yeah, it's something that's important. And as a pet dog trainer, one of my, like, the one thing that got everybody was if they were on the fence about hiring me, I was like, okay, give me a call. And then I would have my dog give them a business card. So I'd have my dog take the business card, run it to them, and hand it to them as
You
well. Certain little tricks and of the trade that will sell your services, and
something my teaching partner Chris does. He used to be a street performer, and he would train his dog to go to the crowd and take people's money and put it into the bucket. So we were playing with that at our new Gold School too.
amazing,
But yeah,
amazing
marketing.
stuff.
Use your dog for marketing.
That's right. And you're appealing to emotion here. Like, people are 10 times more likely to act on emotion than they are on that pure intellect. And once you can get them to fall in love with you, then you're good as gold. Heading back to the comments here. Thank you. That was a great question, Kashi. And Kashi actually just sent me a message about the Bringsel alert too. So we're going to be talking about that. And Kashi's going to come back on one of these live streams here as well. Zion is magnificent. All of Utah is epic for hiking. Just don't come in the summer, especially me as a ginger. Matt rocks. That sounds great. Everybody's telling Matt to take care. From the UK, would love to learn about NAPOPO, but can't find any info about schools in the UK. I am not a dog trainer, but I am really interested in this method. Is it in-depth and full-on for me? Or is it too in-depth, full-on for me as a novice with the pet dog? Thanks. We have in Holland, Michael just shouted out. I don't think it's too in-depth. I think that this is what I say is that if I had this at the beginning of my dog training career, even as a novice, this will benefit you because you're going to know the why behind what every trainer does, and a lot of the trainers don't know the why,
Mhm.
and the why is our power. The why is what makes it work.
Definitely. I have quite a few webinar students who are just pet owners too. So
Yeah.
I would say no, it's not too much. I think if you're invested in your dog's future and you're invested in understanding this dog that you have, I think it's very, very worth your time. I don't think it's too much.
No, I think you won't regret it.
Yeah.
Love this, Bill. Such a great idea. And then here,
What,
new silver in Holland. Go ahead.
one thing question that I get from people sometimes when they want to go to the webinar is what skill level dog trainer, or do I have to be advanced, or is it going to be an advanced class? It's not so much that it's a level of difficulty, it's the type. It's understanding a style. It's understanding theory and why does a dog do, right? So understanding what's a motivator, what's a punisher, what's a reinforcer, what's a punisher. Not so much like, here, I'm going to give you a set of behaviors and you have to accomplish this set of behaviors, right? So,
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to post up in the comments below for anybody that's interested, the Napopo events page. And it looks like they still have some openings in the Holland school. So you guys, get in while you can, because they do sell out often. So check it out. After watching you guys in a live feed, you are less scary.
was I scary in the first place? Oh,
That makes me laugh.
it's so funny.
I might have been. I was kind of, like I said, I was kind of to myself this time because I was like a long time of not getting into it. I didn't really know what to bring for my booth, right? So I just kind of brought
Oh
myself.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now that I've gone, I know what to bring in November, and I will be back in November as well. Steph
Yeah.
says ghost is greater than coffee.
Oh, one thing I was going to say about Jorge. One thing about the dog training industry that I've learned along the way is that's like something that like I haven't experienced before is you look up to people and you think that like, oh, these people are too cool for me, right? Like I assume that's what he means by scary, like intimidating. But then as I got into the training system and I started to meet more people, I was like, they're just people.
We're all just
Like you
people,
and I
man.
are just people. We're not anything crazy, we just do what we do. And if you find us like intimidating or something, like there's no
Grr.
reason. There's no reason. Like if you come up and talk to me, I'm just a person, you know?
Well, sometimes we are preoccupied too. Like there's sometimes that it's, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, especially with classes or something like that. And there's some things that like, look, I'm not going to talk about this thing because we're focusing on this aspect right here.
Mhm.
Like, especially, I mean, I will to an extent, but that's the topic of this next lesson. Like right now, I need you to get this.
Right.
Right. And so that might be an aspect that might seem a little bit intimidating. And sometimes
Or
people
one
are
of my
paying me. Go ahead.
okay, go ahead.
Well, they're paying you to get results here, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to really focus on the task at hand. And they're also paying me to be accountable as well. And so sometimes I can be a little bit, a little bit more assertive because
Mhm.
you've paid me to do this, and I'm a professional, and I
Yeah.
want you to get the results that you're looking for.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're just people that are passionate about what we do, and have traded our lives to work with these dogs. And
Yeah. I was gonna say if I was ever antisocial at New Silver Skull, it's probably because I didn't sleep enough. Not because I didn't want to talk to you.
we're lost in
Sometimes
thought.
I was definitely off to the side, just being quiet by myself. Uh,
Cool. Okay, we don't have too many comments, but I'm just going to get sniff the dog, or see the dog sniffing. Good idea. Very
okay, very
good
good.
idea with
Yeah,
the gold multiplicator graduate playlist. Good. Good.
sweet.
Yeah, you got
Very
it, man.
good.
Interesting, knowledgeable folks. And you guys, I have so many. I've over 150, approaching like 175
I am so
interviews on
impressed. Yeah.
my YouTube channel, and I've plugged them all over on the YouTube as well. And I think I'm going to get a Rumble and a couple other ones. And all this stuff is for me. That's the thing, is that I've learned,
But it's a
you
gift that
know.
you share with people.
Yeah, and I love chatting with people, and because I'm a
Same,
humanitarian,
same.
I just love connecting, and so thank you for watching, and consider supporting me on Patreon. Little plug there, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. The glass jar is Bart's idea. That's what I'm not gonna lie, it is Bart's idea, but it makes sense. Sharing
Yeah.
so I can watch the rerun. Yep, everybody share this. Gotta run. Laters,
Bye,
Jorge.
Jorge.
And then one of the reasons I think learning same material from different people is valuable. I like learning how other people teach the material, their slant.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
funny better.
100%. Like that's why I keep going to seminars regardless of who the person is, regardless of what their accolades or background is. I want to see how do they teach?
Amen.
How do you handle your students' questions? How do you address problems? What's your teaching style? That's very, very important.
What analogies do you use? I've had analogies that
Yeah,
I'm borrowing that forever, right? Because
for
it's
sure.
it's
That's that
fantastic.
thing going back to keeping an open mind and wanting to learn things. The moment you think you're too good to learn for someone, you cut off that opportunity to learn.
Yep. And some things, you just kind of let it go, and you take what you will. And that's why we go back to these silver schools, or
Mhm.
gold schools as well, is because you pick something up every time.
Yeah,
You pick
yeah.
something up, and there's a reason why they teach and why it's so in depth. And that's why you took 45 pages of notes. And man,
And
there's because you just keep.
I had just gone to the March school too. So did I need the
Yeah.
notes? I'll use them for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something that we take away. Jennifer suggests Ben's maybe try with the webinar. You'll get an idea, head start, and a little pre-primer for the real thing. And then fantastic. Bill is a little
Hello, Teresa.
crazy. Bill is a little crazy, but in the best ways. Yeah,
I had just met Teresa the other day. We had a little chat. It was very nice. So
she's
hello.
amazing. She's
Yeah, she's
amazing.
telling me she's good friends with you.
Yes, yes, indeed she is. And I'm proud to be her friend.
Bill's a
So,
little crazy. Why would you say that?
because I am.
I'm kidding.
I am crazy. I'm out there, man. Like, I know I am, but that's the
I'm
beautiful thing
messing. Yeah.
each one of us is an individual, and I march to the beat of my own drum, and we
Yeah.
just each one of our hearts beats a little bit different, right? We have a little bit different rhythm, a little bit different approach to life, and
Yeah.
that's the beauty of life and the beauty
I
of
agree.
being different. So, little crazy is okay. Just as long as it's not the bad crazy. She says it's the best way. So the best crazy. So awesome. And then, so I want to chat a little bit about before we get too long with this. I wanted to make some suggestions because I think that you are going to be heading into the SAR world, right? Search and rescue.
Hopefully in the future, that's the goal.
I'm going to put up some of my read 'em recommendations that I have. So why are you into the search and rescue?
So, with my background of being in the backcountry and all the stuff I've done with dogs in the past, like I said, I hiked that 220-mile trail with my dog. That's a different skill level to understand how to take care of your dog's calorie needs, their first aid needs, like all the logistics that go into taking a dog for 3 weeks in the backcountry and making sure you're ensuring their health and safety. Like that's a whole separate skill. And there's a lot of things I learned from doing that. But anyways, I've done a lot of backcountry things. I've canyoneered. I've rappelled down a 90-foot waterfall with my one of my malinois, and I just love being in the outdoors. One of the things that I really, really like about man trailing, like there's different reasons I do different activities. Some of them I play Mondioring to learn about higher quality dog training, where I'm held to a very high standard. There's precision, there is obedience, there's control required. And then I do other things for other reasons. But man trailing combined my love of the outdoors, and also I really, really enjoy the dependence on the dog. Like it feels like a superpower when you're able to just hold the line and just go and run into the darkness and run into like random open, like you don't see anything that's going on, but the dog sees everything. And if you can read your dog, then you can understand what your dog sees as well. And I think it's just so cool to be almost blind and trust your animal and trust your training and go off into the wilderness and do something like that. So everything about being in a wilderness search and rescue specifically is very much something that I enjoy, that I do that activity out of passion, not out of like desire or accolades or competition. That one for me is something that brings me a lot of joy. So that's kind of why I do
Well, it
man.
makes sense. It makes sense because you are taking it to the next level of trusting that dog.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but I think it's beautiful because we're in nature, right? And the dogs, we belong in this human world where we have all these human contraptions and rules and social constructs. And the dog is a beautiful thing because it reminds us, it keeps us attuned to natural law or the law of nature. How to live in the moment, how to be opportunistic, how to be forgiving, how to see the grandeur and the beauty of nature. And
There's something so special too. If you've ever been like in the backcountry where you're helpless and you have to survive off your knowledge, or you have to survive based off your understanding of how to read a map because there's no trail, like understanding that skill, but then on top of that, you have your little special secret superpower of your dog's nose. It's
mm,
like, whoa, it's like a whole nother level. Like I'm friends with a lot of hikers, but having the dog there is like, oh, let me show you this really cool thing and let's go run this trail, because it's like it's the coolest thing ever to follow that dog's nose.
well, and I think that it brings the relationship to the next level with you and that dog too, right? Where
Mhm.
you're truly reliant on them,
Mhm.
right? Where a lot of
Mhm.
times with this dog training stuff, we're setting up scenarios, but they are scenarios and they're faults where this is real and this is real
Yeah,
world stuff that we do with this animal. And that's what I love about hunting and bird hunting with the animals as well. And
that's
there's
what
certain times.
Nate says in the comment. That's my favorite part about the hunting work.
That's right. Is a dog's responses to odor. And listen to this. And Nate's going to be coming on. I just chatted with Nate a couple days ago, and we've been doing like this series where we're talking about hunting and the different things that are important to know about hunting, the different commands and the verbiage and jargon
Mhm.
of hunting. Um,
I'm
but
very interested in learning that.
yeah, it's so cool,
That's the
man.
next one that I want to get into.
And then dogs, does she participate? Search and rescue sport.org. Check this out. Search and
Oh,
rescue
it's sport.
sport.org. Here, let me
I'm
bring
not
that up here.
familiar with that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna put it in my browser right now.
Rescue sport. We'll shout them out and then I'll put them up on the. And then I just posted up.
Ooh, beautiful.
Just posted ASRA. What? How do you pronounce that? Ruddingshood Sport Association. Huh. I'm gonna put it up on the screen here. What I was saying is like with the hunt, there's ways that we can kind of set up the dog for the fake surrogate hunt and also the real hunt as well.
Mhm.
Um, and as a dog trainer, you kind of know the advantages and disadvantages of what we're doing, because I was just talking to this guy who does these bird launchers, and he sets them all up, and he's like, you have to know the order of bird launchers so you're not launching this bird over here when the dog just indicated on this bird.
Yeah.
But the thing is that a lot of times we are giving the dog some cues because we just set this whole scene up for the dog instead of it being natural in the
Yeah.
wild, right? And
Not a true blind.
as the dog trainer, we know this, and it's very intuitive for us that the dog is going to follow the ATV tracks or follow the
Yeah,
scent,
yeah, yeah.
where we're holding a bird and we're walking with that bird to set him up in the
Yeah,
bird trap,
yeah.
right? And so it's
Uh-huh.
not real, and
Your
that's why
odor's just all over the place.
that's right. And the dog is following
Contaminated.
your order. It's not
Yeah.
right. And so do you see what I'm saying? Like there's aspects of this stuff as dog professionals that we bring into the fold that people that are avid just bird hunters might not know about.
Yeah.
And so that's what's cool about this stuff. And I'm going to check this out too about the search and rescue. And I posted up some books that I highly recommend. The search and rescue dog training, the canine hero, is fantastic. Ready, about training the search and rescue dog. People have to realize that with these search and rescue dogs, we want a dog that can be handled by multiple people. We want a dog that has a solid downstay, and then we put the dogs in a downstay in a cross formation where they're facing each other, so the handler, when they're back at camp, can eat, can rest. And we want the dog to do a downstay away from the handler for about 45 minutes, so the dog or the handler can use the restroom, whatever they need to do. And then I also put up lost person behavior up in the comments as well. And this is stuff that gets into the psychology of people, and just has, for children, for adults, different scenarios that have happened in the real world where they have found these people. And a lot of this stuff is counterintuitive until you get into a crisis situation, where we're looking for somebody that's missing. And then it's important to look at the lay of the land. We're looking at the wind. We're looking at the dew. So some of my bird dog people, they make their dogs face wet, so the molecules of the scent molecules will stick to that dog a little bit better. I mean, there's just so many things that are just wild, and that's what I like about it. I just nerd out on the scent.
I was talking to another trainer who was asking me on advice on how to do a area search dog, and I was like, well, I can tell you how to train or how to begin training the route on how you would get there. But if you don't know how to use the dog is a tool. And if you don't know how to read the geography of the land, you don't know how to read the environment, then you're not going to use your tool very efficiently. Like, that's a whole separate class.
Well, but we're getting right back to where we started here with the service dog stuff, right? Is like we're using this tool as a dog as a medical device. And so this is also a tool, a God-given divine tool that knows that we're utilizing to save somebody's life. And especially with HRD, human remain detection, there's a dark aspect of this too in the wild. Like, a lot of people don't realize that people go into the forest to commit suicide, and sometimes we'll wander upon somebody that is not the person that we're looking for. And so even though we have found and the dog has indicated, we keep it quiet a lot of times because we have to ensure that this is the person that we're looking for. So it's not all rainbow and sunshine, and there is a truth to this that is kind of dark. And I'm going to hit the comments one more time, and then I want you to give people a little bit of information on how they can find you and find your webinars, and the best way. And Nate just sent me a whole bunch of bumpers and ducks. So fantastic, Coffee. Yep, Nate's the man. Ethan and Melissa are local to meet. They're into it. Ethan was at his silver school in June. So we have a nice broad family. He was a decoy at a lot of the early school.
Oh, I met Ethan.
Yeah.
He was with Carla.
So meet or chat with Ethan, and then detection device. That's right. So what is the best way for people to get a hold of you, Jaclyn?
Facebook. I'm very bad at social media. I'm very bad at marketing myself. So I only do Facebook, whereas I should do TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I should do all the things, right? But basically Facebook, which is my name, Jaclyn Dagampat, is where I post a lot of my content and my webinars. I am ending my most current series this Wednesday, and I'm thinking of doing maybe in the future, maybe not this next one, but I might do a revision to make it more class-like instead of webinar-like. But yeah, right now it is a 4-part series that's 3 hours. It's 12 hours long, 12 hours of content, and it's presented live by me. I do worksheets to help guide people in the class, and then I do tests at the end because we talked about how valuable tests are. But I do just post that on my Facebook page every so often, and then every so often I'll post some video of a dog that I've been training or a dog that I've been working with. But yeah, that's the best way to reach me. Send me a message or add me as a friend. I'm also very, very active in the Napopo New Silver and the On Cue Discussions podcast too. So I'll sometimes have chats with people there. But yeah, Facebook is where I'm at.
And I just posted up a link to her Facebook profile, you guys. If you're not friends with her, then you should be.
Add me as a friend.
And then also, I'm going to be getting with you about some Patreon. So we're going to do a little Silver School something on Patreon, on my Patreon page. So join Patreon. You can for as little as $5 a month, you guys, and anybody that supports me there, I sure do appreciate that.
Oh, I wanted to say something about
course.
my gold school too, where Chris and I have our gold schools together. And currently, I was so surprised. I was talking to Chris this morning, and he's like, "Oh my God, I've never had so many notifications on Facebook." So we announced our Georgia Gold School 2 days ago, and then yesterday we filled up all of the spots, and I was like, oh my God, this is cool. So I made a little post about, hey, does anyone want to host us? And I am currently talking to somebody in Washington and somebody in Vegas and somebody in Arizona about hosting us for New Gold. So probably looking forward to a handful of New Gold schools in 2024, and I'm very, very excited about that. But
Awesome.
that updates will also be found on my Facebook page as well. And then Chris Nguyen, which is my teaching partner, he has his business is Canine Logic. So Canine Logic does have an Instagram. It's letter K number 9 underscore LOGIC. And he'll post some updates there every now and then as well. And he does have a Facebook page, which is Chris Ho Nguyen. He's better at social media than I am.
So let me see if I can find his. Oh, how do I do this? Search. So what is it? K.
Letter K number 9 underscore logic.
And then LOGIC?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a blue logo.
Yep, got it. So I'm going to post up his down in the comments.
You should have him on your live stream too.
Oh, he's welcome, man. Chris, shouting you out. I'm inviting you right now, buddy. And I wanted to congratulate you on all the hard work you're doing, and you guys deserve all the success. And I wish you continued success, Jaclyn.
Thank you.
Think you're awesome, man. So
I appreciate that. I'm very happy we met. I'm very happy for this friendship.
Yeah, likewise. And when you come here, you're going to be on my glass torch. So we're going to do some glass art together.
I've always wanted to get into glass work.
So, and that's one thing that we didn't talk about was you're an artist. I'm an artist. And a lot of dog trainers are artists. Chris is a hell of a dancer. Somebody said in the comments below. And then, love to hear that you filled up so fast.
Oh, yeah. So we posted something about Washington, and now the Washington one, I think.
Where in Washington?
We're almost filled up. Oh, yeah, you're in Washington, huh?
Yeah.
I think it's Yelm.
Okay, it's not too far from me. We'll get together, and you come over.
Yeah,
and maybe,
let's do it.
So
let's do it.
So let's say bye to everybody. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Share this, and I'll say goodbye to you in the studio.
Yes,
and we'll do another one, man.
Thanks for everyone's comments. I feel special.
Bye, everybody.